here's the steps. It's about 6 steps that occurred on Sunday afternoon. You might have been watching the Washington Redskins versus the Eagles or the Bills and Chiefs. Don't get me started. I feel so bad for Josh Allen. Separate topic for another time. The ref stole it, but that's a separate issue. But I was watching The Real Show. The Real Show that involved our livelihoods and the future of our civilization was the show of President Donald Trump putting on a masterclass that will now be in the Trump Library called the Colombian Masterclass, or a Sunday afternoon solving the world's problems. President Donald Trump was golfing, meeting with friends, while he was putting forward, without a doubt, the most precise, well-orchestrated, step-by-step, thoughtful, and deep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 moves to be able to send illegals back to their countries of origin. Now, of course, this is obvious, but it's worthy of repeating. We are the incumbent superpower. We are the strongest country on the planet. We are the world's reserve currency status. People want to invest in our nation. You have Saudi Arabia saying we're going to go spend $600 billion to try to win favor with President Trump. We are the desirable market. Under Joe Biden and previous Democrat presidents, we haven't acted that way. We've acted as if we are equal with Colombia. We are not equal with Colombia. I have a lot of respect for the Colombian people. I'm sure it's a beautiful country. But America is not on an equal footing of Colombia. They are a subservient nation to the United States of America, economically, militarily, in every possible conceivable way. We hold all the cards. So you would think that when the world's largest nation, when the superpower comes knocking and says, you're going to accept these couple dozen, that's all it was, which is a couple dozen criminals back into your country, Colombia would say, sir, yes, sir, whatever you need. Because the Colombian economy is largely dependent on trade, commerce, and immigration with the United States of America. Almost all of Central and South America is dependent on friendly relationships with our nation. We are still the richest. We are still the most desirable place to put and deploy capital. Their muscle memory was based on the Biden regime. What do you mean we have to accept all these criminals? We're an equal nation as you. Okay. So here's the 6 steps that occurred. Step 1, Trump sends the flights. Step 2, President Gustavo Petro says, no, we're not going to accept them. Now, step 3 is worthy of a lot of time. We're just going to press pause and read this piece by piece because it was a masterclass. You see, President Donald Trump had a decision to make. He could engage in private diplomacy or a public example. In this particular instance, a public example was the only move. Now, mind you, private diplomacy very well would have worked equally as effective. But why is it that President Donald Trump decided to escalate this situation so quickly, so rapidly, with such overwhelming economic force? The reason being is that if Colombia started playing games, then Nicaragua might start playing games, and Honduras might start playing games, and Panama might start playing games. And you would have a regional resistance domino theory where all of these Central and South American countries would think that they could play games with the United States of America, and Colombia was a perfect country to make a public example of it. First of all, their leader is literally a cross-dressing Marxist terrorist who was responsible for the death of hundreds of Colombians. And so President Donald Trump decided to escalate. And the Colombian leadership was probably so taken aback. The equivalent would be that if you're just kind of at a 1 out of 10 and President Donald Trump went to a 9 out of 10 right out of the gate. This shows how well prepared the administration was when they came in, how well prepared this team was. Colombia's president assumed he could just say no. No, we're not going to do this. But this new Trump administration was ready, able, willing, prepared. There was a list of actions that they were ready to take once a leader was dumb enough to FAFO. And I'm not going to say that because we are live on radio broadcasting. And I'm going to read this entire Truth Social post from President Trump because it is so smart and so strategic. And you better believe any of the other actors in the region that were even thinking of resisting, Honduras, Guatemala, Belize, Ecuador, they were watching the Colombian Masterclass example. So, oh boy, I don't know if I want that. And Colombia became the momentary center of gravity. It became the center of emphasis of all focus, where all the other regional countries were watching and saying, okay, Colombia, you want to pick a fight with the superpower? I mean, Colombia, I don't think they have a navy. It's not exactly a fight that they're going to win. And this would never escalate to military conflict, but economic conflict, they are beyond a subservient nation. I mean, they're barely a second world nation, almost a third world nation. They're right on the edge. Certainly not first world. And I'm going to read what President Trump authored because it sent a message not just to that freak who's the president of Colombia, but to every other nation. This is not just about bullying other countries or starting flights. This is about not getting taken advantage of and not being the dumping ground of the third world.